I'd
Hey
say.
out there, guys. This is your boy Leroy Hawkson of EAN, that is Esports Africa News. And today we are here with a very interesting individual. He's doing something unique, something nobody has done in his country yet. And we are coming to talk to him all about it, talk about esports in his country and what exactly is going on. So his name is Ivan Kibuka. He's from Uganda and he is the founder of Arudem, the first ever esports organization in Uganda. Ivan, good afternoon, or should I say good evening, where you are.
Good evening. Glad to be here. Big ups to what Esports Africa is doing for the space. I think, like I said earlier, for a space that's not well appreciated by many, the fact that you guys are able to take that risk and still develop a whole media strategy around it is super amazing. So I'm really glad to be on this platform. I think it's a platform I've been seeing and consuming content of. So it's a good thing to see that I'm now able to feature on the platform too. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very, and
Yeah.
honestly, I'm proud of. It's just like, wow, somebody is the first. It's actually quite interesting. But before we get into any of that, let's just talk about
Yeah.
you and talk about your history. Could you tell us who is
Yeah.
Ivan Kubuka?
Yeah. So Ivan Chivuka, my names. I go by Metal. That's my gamer tag. If you play Call of Duty and you've seen Metal somewhere, yeah, that's me. Metal came from originally I was full Metal, so I cut it short to Metal because it felt a bit shorter. But I'm a 23-year-old. I think I'm a 23-year-old creative entrepreneur or aspiring creative entrepreneur. We're still trying to build something of something around creative entrepreneurship is what we're trying to build. So personally, I feel like I'm just any ordinary 23-year-old trying to do the most in a space that I picked interest in. I wasn't so much a gamer back in the days, but I had the passion for gaming, just I didn't have the means. I remember back then I used to like run around and find ways of playing a game or two here and there. But when I hit the high school level, it's something I didn't do as much because now the cool kid element came in and the whole adolescent. So gaming looked like a geeky thing. So I was like, so if girls see me playing games, I'll look like So I found myself not actively participating in the gaming space. But I then went into like sports and actual sports, rugby, basketball, badminton. Those are like fields I was interested in. And I was also interested in them from like a business perspective. And this is something I did. Yeah.
So could you tell me more about yourself as a gamer? What games were you normally playing when you were younger? Because you said you sort of drifted away a bit, but what games were you normally playing when you were younger?
I think more or less the titles that were popping back then, because we didn't have an opportunity to try out so much, based on where we are. And like maybe if you're in the United States, you could, you're exposed to so much and so many games. You could find that a game that you're the one playing it in the country. But here, mainly, the trend was set by what was out there. And you'd find that the games that you are playing or the games your friends are talking about, because that would make more sense because you want to be part of the conversation. So I did play a lot of GTA back in the days. I did try FIFA too. Max Payne was also, one of the games I really liked. Hitman. I think, the games within that class, mainly shooters, I would say. There's action shooters mainly. And a bit of GTA here and there too. I think San Andreas was Vice City, San Andreas. So that was more or less my space. And it didn't really go far, but I think it did the job, I guess.
Yeah, well, I was more of a JRPG guy. That's what I played. But So speaking about your gaming life when you were younger, let's talk about how gaming is perceived in Uganda. Because in Ghana, when I was younger, gaming was seen as sort of things that people of, how will I say, they call them kupolo. It's sort of like people, bad people, recalcitrant. The word is not coming to me, but people who are not right in terms of the community. But how in Uganda, how was gaming viewed in your time when you were younger?
I think the stereotypes cut across all countries, regardless of like where you're located. I feel like the stereotypes of gaming is is such a positive thing for someone to do. When we were kids, I remember I did have that element of, you know, super jumpy and I'm always touching this and that and, you know, super curious. And my parents thought that if we give this person a console, if we let them play games, it will kind of take my grades down and also my performance in school and things of that sort. So that obviously was, I wasn't the only one in that position. I'm sure so many of my colleagues had kind of have the same history. So gaming hasn't been massively adopted. It's already something that's been done by kids, again, like kids in their basement. Basement is just like a terminology, but kids in their rooms, you know. Most individuals that I know don't come out as gamers. I was surprised when you said a gaming brand. Some of my friends that I used to talk to back then are now part of our community, but back then you wouldn't even know they were playing. So it wasn't like a thing that everyone does. It's, hey, you play some FIFA? Okay, I'm better than you. And, you know, that conversation was always there, but it wasn't given so much thought. And even from like a corporate end, no one really focused on it deeply. The few individuals that did face a lot of frustrations when it didn't yield into something. So yeah, there's always been that on and off element about the gaming industry. A few events here and there, maybe brands like Mountain Dew are doing a thing here and there, but nothing super solid. Yeah.
So let's talk about Arudem. Why the name Arudem? What does it even mean?
That's a question I get a lot. Personally, I don't think Arudem has any hidden meaning to it, to be honest. Maybe it does, but like I told you earlier, it's more or less happened naturally. It wasn't a name I came up with. There was this group that was created back then when COVID was a thing. And the person who created it just wanted to have a group of, in case you're playing Warzone, you'll hit us up, you know, just come in and be like, yo guys, who's playing Warzone now? And we'll just jump on and play, because Warzone's like a 4-man squad game. So that's how the group just started, from about 3-4 people to now about, I think, about 50 people now. It's so spread. It's not like the community group. So it's like capped to only Warzone players within Uganda, because that's how it was built. So that's where the name started.
It seems like this was just a natural progression. It went from a group of gamers who then came together and just was like, yo, why don't we start an organization?
Yeah.
But let me ask this. What kind of organization is Arudem going to be? Is it going to continue in the same line as what you already started, as in, hey, who wants to play Warzone together? Hey, who wants to play this together? Is that what it's going to be? Or there's going to be more sort of tournament organization? Is it going to be more, we are going to be an organization that is teams. We'll create teams and send them out to compete in tournaments. What exactly is the goal for Arudem?
Yeah, good question. I think I'll go back to the start again. What made Arudem special was the game we played. Yeah, you'd find that there are so many players that are playing FIFA, and like FIFA is like the trendy game around Africa. I think everyone has played FIFA at one point. So coming to Warzone had such a niche community and a niche amount of players. Yeah. So in FIFA, you could get about 300 people playing FIFA, but for Warzone, you could find that there are only 50 people in the country. I would say that there is no Warzone player in Uganda that hasn't interacted with Arudem at some point, you know, or even played with a member of our community. So that's how small the Warzone community is, but that's where it stems from. And we shall always identify ourselves as a brand that was born out of Call of Duty Warzone. And personally, it's a game I play only because out of all the games that are out there, COD is the only game that I really focus on, you know, because that's that passion for it.
Hey, I get you, but one thing that I seem to be getting from, I don't know if this is something that was already in Uganda, as in an Esports Federation, but it sort of feels like Arudem is looking to one day take that place as basically the representatives for esports in Uganda. At least that's how I got it from when I listened to you.
Yeah. Representation of, I think there are two sides to that, yeah. You can represent the gaming culture within a specific country or area without necessarily having a governing body like a federation. Yeah. So personally, the culture around Arudem may not pivot towards a federation, because a federation comes with its own structures, it comes with its own, it has its own elements and what things that make up a federation. And it also has its limitations, because some of these bodies are governed by governments. Best of my knowledge, they have that, there's that governance, is that there's someone you're always reporting to. So we're not necessarily trying to become a federation. We're willing to come in and support someone who wants to create a federation 100%.
Let's talk about sponsorship. You said that right now, it is something that is going to build over time. But have you actually probably sort of approached anybody about the possibility of supporting Arudem and your plans for the future?
100%. We have, next year is when you should be able to see some of these things come to life. At least one of the partners that we have worked with on our project would be Mountain Dew. That was last year. End of last year, we ran a project with them that, helped us, push the brand and get to somewhere. It was a 3-month partnership deal. And I feel like that was a start for us, because it was our first official partnership with like a foreign brand, an international brand. And what we have built up based off that experience is that we need to stack up more of these. So before reaching out to any sponsors, the first thing was making sure we have what they need. We first make sure that internally we're well structured and we're prepared. Because what's the point of us reaching out to sponsors and there's nothing we're offering them? To me, at the end of the day, that damages the industry. It damages the industry, and sponsors are like, yes, gaming is a big thing, but I put my money in gaming last week and nothing came out of it, So such has always happened when it comes to a young organization and a young team rushing the sponsorship process. I feel like you need to bootstrap, and we have done that for about 3 years now. We've been basically bootstrapping and living off our own and just trying to make sure that we create as much value for sponsorship, which I would say we have done. And if you look at one of our sustainability models right now, this is something we don't share so much, but I'll drop it in there because I feel like sustainability in gaming isn't talked about as much. We talk about all the teams and tournaments and all that, but no one ever has conversations around sustaining this thing. And it's super expensive. It's bloody expensive to sustain gaming and pay players. So one of our models of sustainability, and what has helped us maybe push forward for these past 3 years, we created an agency model around Arudem. We created an agency that was able to pay some of the creatives we had on board. So we rendered services, because when I looked at the gamers we had, most of the guys were designers, they were animators, the photographers, they were within that creative field. And I was like, let's come together, offer a solution to our company and let them pay for that service. Okay. So that has enabled us survive till now without aggressively looking for sponsorships. And we've built our bargaining capital, because a young team with nothing reaching out to a sponsor may not give you creative control. But now we're in positions of sponsors are now reaching out to us to run projects. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And they want to do something else because they've seen what we can do. They've seen our capabilities. And that is something I don't really put out there to like brag and all that, but it's just me trying to show the confidence in the product and me trying to show the confidence in the strategy we have applied. Sponsorships are like a big thing in the industry. But again, we also need to talk about how someone has to build their capacity for sponsorship. Why would you let a sponsor like MTN come in? You do something with him, they're not satisfied. Then once MTN comes out and says, gaming is a poor investment, that will kill gaming for the next 10 years. Because so many brands would look at where MTN is investing, because they also want to have presence there.
Yeah.
So we've done our part to make sure that first, before sponsorships, let's make sure we have the value that sponsors may be looking out for, and not count on what the international scene is, because I've seen so many people pitch esports and gaming and they're using numbers that were generated by foreign organizations, foreign events, so those are figures we can't use. We kind of have to use our own figures. So I think that's the nature. But next year, I do assure you, we should be able to see some of the sponsorship deals we've been working on throughout this year. And yeah, that's basically that for sponsors.
My God,
We have
but
9
like
minutes.
Arudem seems so like it seems like it's gonna be very big. It seems like you're interested in game development. It seems like you're interested in content creation. It seems you're interested in esports tournament organization. It seems you're interested in building teams for competitions. That is a lot of work. How are you going to do all of this? As in, one person can't do all of this. There has to be a complete structure. Does Arudem have the people in place to actually manage all these sectors?
I mean, this is something we've been building for what, 3 years now?
Yeah.
And I mean, we're coming out now. Just for example, we're coming on the Esports African News platform in our 3rd year. So that means that we've been doing a lot of work in the years before. And aside the gaming element and the content, we've made sure that we've built us and educated ourselves. Actually, education mainly. We've educated ourselves around business and how things happen. A lot of what you just explained goes back to one thing, you know, how good are you at, you know, business generally? Because most of those are like business decisions. You may not necessarily own a particular branch within your organization, but then you get someone who has to invest in a space and loves your brand, and they're the ones who own it, but it's under your name. At the end of the day, it's still being done by your organization. Just like how FaZe Clan has a team that's not owned by FaZe, called Atlanta FaZe. It's a separate organization from FaZe Clan, but it's still leveraged. When someone is saying they call it FaZe. So just some of these concepts are some of the concepts we're looking at. We may not entirely do everything. Yeah. And if you look at our roadmap, unique partnerships and unique collaborations are a standalone position. So if maybe I can't host a tournament, I can then empower or partner with a body that I know is into tournament hosting, and you know they do it, you know. But that still comes back to the brand, as you know, that equity still comes back to Redem as a brand. So looking at such avenues and just getting super creative in terms of how you play your cards and how you may not necessarily have to do everything, by the way. So just getting creative and knowing what cards to play here and there, networking and talking to the right people, looking out for the opportunities and understanding the industry at its core, you know, and making sure that you're always 2 steps ahead of, you know, everything. And you're always in the know of, you know, where the industry is growing, and you're able to set a few predictions. So yeah, I'm 100% confident that those are avenues we can get into, and we can do our best while we're at that. Yeah.
So one thing I would like to ask you is basically,
please,
the Olympics are going to be having esports in Paris, according to reports. It's going to be having esports. Do you think you can Arudem can help create Ugandan esports stars to actually compete in that competition?
Definitely. Like I said in our roadmap that we announced last weekend, a lot of what we're building before was not for Uganda. And I think that was a mistake, yes. But again, it was just a shortcoming on our end. We focused more on what was around Africa and even outside Africa. And we didn't build so much for Uganda. So with Arudem, we tried to switch that up, and we came out and identified as Uganda's first gaming and esports brand. Why? Because we now want to focus local. We want to focus so much on our industry here, a mistake that, you know, we didn't pick up on before. We were mainly even signing players outside Uganda and no one here in Uganda. So we're running a few academy programs and just taking players through, because this is something that's new to most people. Most people do consume esports and gaming content, but haven't really participated. So things like conduct, things like careers, there's a lot of guidance that's needed. So we're trying to make sure that we mentor the local scene when it comes to, you know, esports at an international and global scale. So yeah, those are avenues we are looking at supporting, and we shall do the best we can, 100%.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So to wrap up, where do you see Arudem in, let's say, 10 years, or yes, let's say 10 years?
10 years time, I think we're looking at being one of the coolest gaming and esports brand in Africa, and just having that dope element and having that representation, having a massive community at that. Also looking at within 10 years time to have come up with a good product development line, and product. I'm looking at things like merch. I'm looking at things like maybe PCs, hardware, gaming hardware, and things of that sort. Then lastly, I would say just leaving a mark with our brand and having us being one of the reasons why gaming is noticed by a person in real estate, a person in tourism, a person in any other industry. We want to make this thing as relatable to non-gamers. Like, that's one of our main focuses. And we hope to achieve that within a 10 years gap, that even someone who's a doctor can say something about gaming because of what they've seen us do. So yeah, I think those are some of the key elements. There may be so many, to be honest, but I can't remember all of them offhand. I'm sure after I'll be like, I should have said this. But yeah, I'm just confident that within 10 years' time, we should have enough brand equity to do the most and represent gaming and just give gaming that position on the table. Yeah.
And what about Uganda? Do you see it's becoming a powerhouse on the African stage when it comes to esports and gaming?
Talent-wise, I don't want to commit now, but ask me this question again next year, because like I said, we hadn't, right now what we're doing, for at least our next 6 months are going to be around understanding the local market and what players we have, and what's the category, what are these people playing, what are they good at. I'll possibly have told you, I expect you're going to be one of the top, esports countries, but I can't say for sure because we've actually done our research, and that's a plan we have set out. We've dedicated a team of 2 individuals who are focusing a lot on our local talent and trying to drive as much result through that whole process. So ask me again after 6 months, and I'll tell you that we should be able to present better players than what Ghana has currently. So yeah.
All right. So guys, that was Ivan. Is it Kibuka or Chibuka?
Ivan Chibuka.
Chibuka.
Yeah.
That's Ivan.
You can call me Metal.
Yeah. So yeah. We've been talking about Arudem and what they can do and bring onto the African stage when it comes to esports and gaming. And we'll be checking up with them later on. Maybe every year we'll check up on them and see how they are doing. Maybe every 6 months, rather, we'll check up on them and see how they are doing and see the growth of the company and the brand. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next time.